All right, I'm actually going to see if I can fit all of this into part 4. So this is our 4th explosive impact video covering this time the dark, the metal, the fairy, the colorless, and most likely, possibly, the trainer cards as well. Some of the stuff I've already covered in previous videos, so I don't have to go over them again. Plus, there's just not a whole lot to say about these smaller, sections, these smaller types. So we'll just go ahead and get started. So starting with the Alolan Meowth, which actually must be talked about because okay, so the basics to it is 60 HP is not ideal, but it's got a free attack. Again, if you're not familiar with this, if you're new to TCG, this symbol, this like faded out energy cost right here means it's completely free. Spoil Sport, 10 base damage. If you go second on your first turn, this attack does 60 more damage. So if you start off with a Alolan Meowth and you're going second, and your opponent has absolutely no other Pokemon on their side of the field except for their active slot, which most likely is a basic that has 70 HP or less, you win the game with Alolan Meowth. That's it. You just win the game. Like, Alolan Meowth, I think alone should be a tech in every Dark deck. Now, I might be crazy enough to say that. That might sound like really ridiculous, but I think it's worth your chance. If not, definitely try to get one out right away with a nest ball or something, because to do 70 on your first turn, if you're going second, is pretty good. And if you're putting a choice band on there, that's 100. And right now, I think the only Pokemon worth noting that has a weakness to Dark is Dawnwing's Necrozma. So you can knock out a Dawnwing's Necrozma on your very first turn of the game and get 2 prize cards. That's crazy. That sounds crazy to me. Alolan Meowth is definitely something you need to have in your deck. Definitely a good card. Now, unfortunately, the Alolan Persian isn't that great. It has 90 damage, but it's reduced by 30 for each energy that's attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. That's not ideal. But this Alolan Meowth, definitely at least 1, if not 2 of, just in case it gets prized. Definitely in every Dark deck. Umbreon, Retaliate, 30 base damage. If one of your Pokemon was knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack during your opponent's last turn, this attack does 90 more damage. That seemed like a mouthful. So if one of your Pokemon was knocked out by damage, this attack does 90 more. Okay, so it's like it's a revenge attack. That's all it is. It's kind of like how Toxicroak was. If there's a Psychic that got knocked out, then your Fighting type becomes stronger. But if the Fighting type gets knocked out, then your Psychic one gets stronger. It's okay. I honestly think I like the Espeon one a little bit more, but that's just me. How's the art to this one? The art's okay. I like the glare in that eye, but the tree's blocking it, which is a shame. Umbreon, I'm going to pass on you. Now, Tyranitar GX. Oh, this guy is a beast, and I'm not just saying that to be funny here. So it's got an ability. If one of your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage from this Pokemon's attack, put that Pokemon and all cards attached to it into the Lost Zone. If your opponent heavily invested in a Pokemon to beef up, and your Tyranitar just comes in and swipes it away, all those cards go straight into the Lost Zone, which could be ridiculous. And that's, I mean, we're probably thinking big here as far as GX is concerned, but even if you attack, like, let's say just a regular stage 1 or even just a basic, that's Pokemon your opponent can't recover. So Tyranitar is pretty vicious here. It's a stage 2, which kind of sucks, but we do have ways to get around that, and I think it's definitely worth looking into. Now, its other attacks: Vicious Sandstorm, 2 Dark, 1 Colorless, 130 damage. This attack does 30 damage to each of your opponent's bench basic Pokemon. Okay, so you do a nice 2-shot, but also softening up the bench line as well, maybe gearing up for another attack that you could do. Yeah, this is looking to be pretty good. Smackdown GX, 220 damage. This attack's damage isn't affected by any effects on the defending Pokemon. Does that mean we can get through an Alolan Ninetales? Because that would be pretty nice. Or a Hoopa, maybe? 220 damage will knock out just about anything that's relevant in the meta right now. The only thing I can think of that might not be able to KO is probably a Metagross. But even then, it just needs a choice band, and it's good. Yeah, Tyranitar is pretty awesome. The only problem is the stage 2, which, again, we're going to have to find ways to get around that. You know, I like to think to get a stage 2 out right away is Steven. Turn 1 Steven, get the rare candy, get the stage 2, and then you're set to go on your next turn. That's what I think, but I don't. To be able to do the other stage 2 or to get the other stage 2s out faster, that's going to be a little bit trickier. All right, so that's all the dark Pokemon there. Let's move on to the metal types. Spike Thrust, flip 3 coins, this attack does 10 damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon, times the number of heads. It's by chance, I'm not a fan. 190 damage, put this Pokemon, all cards attached to it, into the Lost Zone. I don't know if it's worth the 3. Yeah, the 3 energies there. Does your opponent still take a prize? I don't think they do. So that might be kind of nice. It's got 110 HP. The 190 is nothing to really look past about. This might be something to consider, oddly enough, because I don't think your opponent will be able to take a prize. Plus, you can KO an opponent and you can take your prize card. So, definitely worth looking into. Scizor, a non-GX one, this Pokemon takes 30 less damage from attacks. Okay, so essentially has 150 HP. If you add a Metal Frying Pan, you could beef it up to 180 HP, because again, that reduces damage by 30. Special Blow, 60 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon has any special energy attached to it, this attack does 70 more damage. Okay, 130 for 2 energy. A lot of Pokemon, a lot of decks are playing special energy, so this is nothing hard to come by. So you can essentially do 130 damage for 2 energy, and you yourself have 180 HP. Okay, Scizor looks to be really awesome. The art's fantastic. I do love the art behind it. Yeah, I really like this Scizor. So those of you making metal decks, consider Scizor in there. All right, Marill and Azumarill. Droplet search, look at the top 8 cards of your deck, choose any number of energy cards you find there and attach them to your Pokemon any way you like, then shuffle the remaining cards into your deck. That's pretty nuts. And what's crazy about it is that it doesn't have to be specifically basic. It says any energy cards. So it could be double colorless, could be beast energy, could be unit energies, anything really. So interesting. I don't know if it's worth going for stage 1 on this one. It's interesting. I think it's more for like theme decks, maybe rogue decks. We'll see. I wouldn't completely dismiss this card, but I also wouldn't really heavily, have it as an option. Just kind of like off to the side. Just kind of don't forget it's there, but I don't think you're gonna miss out on anything. All right, Snubbull and Granbull. Granbull, let's see what it does. 30 damage. You have no cards in your hand. This attack does 130 more. Okay, so for 1 energy, as long as you have no cards in hand, you essentially do 160, 190 with a Choice Band. That's pretty nuts. Pretty nuts on a stage 1. That's pretty awesome, actually. I really like that. I don't know how I feel about the no cards in hand. I would suggest you make sure that you have an Oranguru so that way you have something to draw into. But then you have to consider discarding those cards. So I'm trying to think if there's something that... there's always what Plumeria. You have to discard a card, right? Or 2 cards, and then you get to discard an energy card from your opponent. So maybe something to consider. All right, colorless Pokemon. Almost done here. Blissey. Once during your turn, you may remove 1 special condition from your active Pokemon, and it's a bench sitter, so not bad. However, we don't have a whole lot of decks that run special conditions. But if we end up getting into a format that uses special conditions a lot, definitely keep Blissey in consideration here. Also, it's got a pretty crazy attack. 80 damage for each heads that you flip, and then you flip a coin for each energy attached to this Pokemon. So if you got 3 energy, that's 3 possible heads, that's 240. That's crazy, but I just don't like the chances on that one. That's definitely a Victini play, but even then, I don't know if I want to invest having Blissey as the main attacker. It's definitely worth noting for the ability, but not so much for the attack. We do have an Eevee here, but it's not the Energy Evolution Eevee, so we're going to look past that. There's nothing else really special about this Eevee. Stantler confuses your Pokemon. 20 damage. If this Pokemon has a Pokemon tool attached, this attack does 60 more, so you can do 80. With a Choice Band, it's 110. Meh, for a double colorless, it's okay. Smeargle, perfect likeness. Your opponent reveals their hand, chooses a porter you find there, and use its effect as the effect of this attack. Okay, not bad. I do recall there being a Smeargle way back in the day that was actually pretty strong in the meta. However, I don't know if we definitely want to continue using that in this standard right now. Yeah, it might be nice, especially if you're kind of desperate for a draw card, maybe a Cynthia or a Tate and Liza, or maybe you want to switch like a Guzma. But again, it just depends on what your opponent has. So it might be something worth checking in, but as of right now, I don't see really the big use for it. So I'm gonna skip on that one. All right. Miltank, you may reveal any number of Moo Moo Milk cards from your hand to your opponent. This attack does 60 damage for each card revealed. Okay, so there is a Moo Moo Milk, so instead of using it, you could hold them. If you have 4, that's 240 damage? Huh. I'm pretty sure your opponent's going to find a way to try to get rid of those out of your hand, but that could be interesting. It's a basic Pokemon, 3 energy, so double colorless and any 1 energy. Worth noting, but let's see what Moo Moo Milk does. I don't remember what it does. Lugia, we've already talked about this one. Definitely interacts with the Lost Zone because you get to put your opponent's active Pokemon and all cards attached to it into the Lost Zone. That's this GX attack, and it has a crazy high regular attack, 170 damage. You can't use it in the next turn, but you can always do the trick with the retreat and then go back into the active to continue to use the attack. So we've already talked about Lugia. I don't need to go there. And then we have the Pick-a-Peck, Trumpeak, and Toucannon line. Now, oddly enough, the Trumpeak, I think, is the one that's worth noting. But let's check out Toucannon really quick. Heat Beak, 40 damage. Your opponent's now burn. Meh, 160 damage. If this Pokemon evolved during your turn, this attack does nothing. That sucks that I can't evolve and attack. That would be a huge plus, but unfortunately I can't do that. So I'm going to dismiss that. Trumpeak, though. The ability, once during your turn, if this card is in your hand, you may place it in the Lost Zone. If you do, look at the top card of your opponent's deck and return it to the top of your opponent's deck. If the card is a supporter, put it in a Lost Zone instead. Okay, so there's a couple of strategies here. Not only do you continue to put cards into the Lost Zone for Jumpluff, because remember, Jumpluff is like the Night March of this standard, you also get to put supported cards, possibly your opponent's supported cards, into the Lost Zone as well, which also leads to the unknown, which wins as long as your opponent has 12 supported cards in the Lost Zone. Is this a coincidence? I think not. This is definitely something worth playing in that Jumpluff deck. Yeah, you have to, 4 of these. You don't even need the Pick-a-Pecks and the Toucannons because this one is from your hand. Yeah, it doesn't have to be on the bench. It just has to be in your hand. So this is an obvious, like, yeah, I'm going to stick 4 of these in a Jumpluff deck. All right, let's go ahead and finish this off. I know that was quite a bit, but I think we can do this. Let's go on with the trainer cards. React Hammer. This card can only be used by a player going second on their first turn. Discard an energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon in play. That's pretty neat considering that you could definitely set back your opponent a turn, which is always ideal. However, it's like a one-time use. This card can only be used by the player going second on their first turn. Then after that, what? You can't do anything with it anymore. So I don't think it's worth playing or using up your deck space for this card, especially if it's only like for that one turn only. So that's kind of sad. But if there's an easy way to search out item cards, then maybe. But I don't think we really need it right now. Ultra Ball, good to have that reprinted. Rare Candy, Switch, Pokemon Catchers getting reprinted. Here we go, Moo Moo Milk. Choose one of your Pokemon. Flip 2 coins. For each heads, heal 30 damage from that Pokemon. It's kind of a disappointing recovery card. A disappointing potion. I'm not liking it. I think it's only useful for the Miltank's attacks. Lost Mixer, put 2 cards from your hand in the Lost Zone, then draw 1 card from your deck. Okay, this is good in a Jumpluff deck. This is definitely a must-have for it, for sure. The drawing the 1 is not ideal, but being able to put 2 cards from your hand into the Lost Zone is, so definitely worth looking into. Choice Helmet, I do remember talking about this in a separate video. You get to take 30 less from your opponent's Pokemon GX and EX. Fairy Charm Grass. We did talk about a lot of these different Fairy Charms in the Fairy Rise video. Looks like we're getting a Grass one. So your Fairy Pokemon can't get hurt by Grass Pokemon GX or EX, which is probably going to be something worth looking into, especially since Sceptile GX might be a huge contender once this set releases. Whitney, draw 1 card, draw an additional 2 cards for each Whitney in your discard pile. Okay, so if you have 3 of them, because you need to be able to draw 1, what, 7? No. Yeah, 7 cards. I don't like this. I get why it does it, to mimic the rollout attack, which gets stronger every time you use it. So every time you use Whitney, you get to draw more cards, but it's very bad. I don't know. I really don't like it at all. Professor Elm's Lecture, which a lot of people are raving about. It's kind of like the new Bridget, but it's not really Bridget. So you get to search your deck for up to 3 Pokemon with 60 HP or less, and reveal them and put them into your hand. So it's an abridged in a sense where you get to get those basics, put them right down on your bench once you have them ready, or if there's any Pokemon that come into play who have 60 HP or less, that could be ideal. However, the only Pokemon that's ever done that is Rattata from Evolutions. So I don't know how much play this is going to be. I think we've all kind of got used to the 70 HP basic Pokemon, which is a little bit better to withstand Buzzwall's attacks. But, you know, someone might want to tech that in there. Faba, choose one of your opponent's Pokemon tool cards, special energy cards, or CMs in play and put it into the Lost Zone. That's pretty strong. That is actually very good. So I like that it's included special energy cards. If it was just tool cards and stadiums, I wouldn't be so keen on it, but because it includes special energy cards, that's good because we don't have a way to recover special energy cards. So if you can get your opponent's special energy cards into the Lost Zone, then as quickly as possible, then that would be good because then you're really, really hurting your opponent. You're really stalling there, and you're really putting them back quite a bit. How reprinted, Lily reprinted, Lucamine Prism Star. You can only play this card if your opponent has 3 prize cards remaining. Prevent all damage done to your Ultra Beast by your opponent's attacks during your opponent's next turn. Okay. Prevent all damage done to your Ultra Beast, so you get to protect your Ultra Beast. Okay, it's weird that it's got a 3 prize card contingency there. I don't know how much, I mean, if you're gonna play Ultra Beast, I guess it doesn't hurt to play 1. You could fish it out with a Tapu Lele, but it seems like a very desperate move. Prevent all damage done to your Ultra Beast by your opponent's attack during your opponent's next turn. Yeah, it's a very desperate move. If you're going to play Ultra Beast, you might as well tech 1 in, but I'm not a huge fan of it. Heat Factory. Once during your turn, you may discard a fire energy from your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards. I think we talked about this one as well as already. It was just like, and I can't remember the name again. It's the Earth one. It's the one where you get to discard a fighting or fire. You get to draw 2 cards. However, this one is just strictly fire. But you get to draw 3 cards, which is pretty nice. This definitely will be you can only have 1 in your deck anyway, so you might as well play it if you're playing a fire deck. Definitely for sure, Heat Factory. Double Colorless Energy gets reprinted, of course, and then we have Memory Energy, which is pretty interesting. This Pokemon this card is attached to can use the attack of its previous evolution. Yeah, that is something that we definitely have to consider. I don't think we have a use for it right now, but you know, you never know in the future when something's going to come up and we're going to need a basic Pokemon's attack to use while using a stage 2, maybe stage 1's HP, and, you know, energy, weakness and resistance and all that stuff. So Memory Energy is not that bad. I just don't think we have the right Pokemon for it right now. All right, we did it. We finished it off. 4 videos. This one's probably the longest one, which is fine. But I didn't also want to drag this out any longer than it needed to. We got our quick reactions here and there. Some pretty interesting cards. I was not expecting that many interesting cards out of this last bunch here, but yeah, a lot of good stuff here. If I had to pick one, you know what? That Tyranitar has, from the beginning, just something about that 220 GX, putting Pokemon into the Lost Zone once you KO it, doing 130. There's a lot of good things about this Tyranitar GX, and I really hope someone makes it work, someone makes it happen. Yeah, this is going to be my highlight card for this set right here. But that's a lot of cards, guys, and I think we're done with catching up, at least on all complete set reviews. There are other cards that have been released here and there that I'll catch up with eventually, but I just wanted to make sure this list got covered before Lost Thunder comes out, because pre-releases start by the end of next month. in end of October, and then we're going to get our largest set in TCG history starting November 2nd, I think it is. But you guys let me know down in the comment section which cards you were a fan of, which one you're liking, which one you're looking forward to the most. And yeah, let's continue on that conversation. And then I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to please like, subscribe, comment, do whatever else you guys got to do. I'll see you next time.